Oh, peace, peace. Peace, soul family. How's everyone doing? Thank you for your patience. Thank you so much for waiting. Shout out to everyone who has been in the chat. I saw y'all in the chat. I hope you got my message. Me and YouTube was having a little battle behind the scenes, which kind of all goes into all of this conversation that we are having tonight. Welcome to everyone that is here. I extend my love to all of you that are here tonight. Thank you so much, Peace Isis, TJ, Guyana Carib Woman, Daisy, um, the Alchemist Jory Johnson, Hanan, Ebony, Vintasha, Ilma, Nikki D, um, Charm, Infinity, Carol, Cam, Gloria, Zolu. Welcome to all of you that are here, Spiritually Unpacked. Is that you, Carla? I think that's Carla. Welcome to all of you that are here tonight. Peace, Pat, Mama G. So, I think quite a few of you on here know what I'm going to be speaking about because I said that I would come on here and speak. And I will say this: initially, I was going to do this live, and then I said, no, I'm going to do a pre-recorded message. This way I make sure I say everything I need to say, and then I'll post it, on here like as a premiere. And that was not the way it was meant to be. Okay. So up until about 30 minutes ago, no, hour ago, I just felt the prompting, like everything just flowed to come on here live. And so usually when I'm live with you all, um, I start channeling, I get messages, y'all know I go left. And so I wanted to do pre-recorded because it's like, this is what I have to say. I'm going to say what I have to say, and that's it. But when I come on here, I connect with so many of you and the messages come through. So whatever comes through tonight, thank you so much. That's just what's going to come through. Thank you. So some of you read the title, some of you have seen the messages, some of you read your emails, and I know there's a lot of questions. And what do I always say? If you have questions, ask. You can just ask, and I'll answer the questions. There's never a need to assume or guess or feel a way about anything because I'm always going to be transparent with you. And that is one thing that I hold with great honor, being transparent with all of you. So with that said, let me know how y'all feeling in the chat. Let me know how you're feeling. How's your energy? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Drop some blue spirals if you know. Let me know how y'all are feeling. No, well, you did not miss it. Divine timing is perfect. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Awesome. Peace, everyone that's just joining. Okay, great. Feeling great today. Excited despite recent events. Let's talk. Okay, yes, I see the blue spirals. Let's talk about it. So, the last time I did a teaching, I think all of you that are here have seen it, right? Is when I was talking about the teaching, is what I was speaking about the portal from April 20th to the 29th. And I did a whole history lesson. I just broke down so many different things. And I said, this is like this portal that's going to change everything. And this came on the back of, I would say for the past 2 years, but even longer, because there were messages that I've had over the past 5 years that were leading up to now, essentially. But it was 2 years ago in 2023 when I talked about the spiritual split. And I saw this crescendo symbol. And all of the major messages that I had were with regards to that. It's interesting because I knew something was happening with YouTube. And when I looked on my, what is it called, dashboard, I noticed that YouTube literally removed quite a few of my videos. And in those videos, I was speaking about truth. I didn't say anything wrong. I didn't lie. There was no misinformation. So I didn't get strikes because they couldn't say, well, this is medical misinformation or this misinformation. It was just, it violates our community policies. And everything I said in there, we are now experiencing now. Okay. Really interesting. But not. We understand what that is. And so I did that video. You all saw it. I said it's a portal. This is not, I know there's so much information on social media, like everything's a portal. Every day is a portal. Today's 23. It's a 23 portal, right? And that is not the case. There literally are spaces where there is no spiritual veil, where there's communication that's coming down heavily. And when you are aligned, right, you're receiving that. You're receiving it audibly, you're receiving it in your body, or you just know that there's something that's going on, okay? And so I said that particular one, there wasn't one that existed in, I did cycles. It was like an 80 cycle, a 160, a 300. Like I broke it down, y'all. Y'all remember that, right? And I said, it's important. And I said, you have to do your spiritual work because after this, something major is going to shift, okay? And so that happened, y'all. That happened. And I don't teach you anything that I don't do myself. I'm not here reading books and saying, y'all should do this, y'all should do that, if I'm not doing the work, right? Because then if you ask me questions, how would I know if I'm not actually doing it, right? So I also took that time. It was sacred for me as well. And I did my ritual, the same one I shared with you all. It opened a door, and that door opened the floodgates. And it wasn't 9 days for me. Some of my students remember, like, I was absent. Like, where is she? I was gone, y'all. So for about 2 weeks, I was in deep meditation, sleeping, not sleeping, up 48 hours, not eating, just receiving so much information, doing a lot of traveling to different, let's say, spaces to retrieve information, because there's a lot of information that just cannot filter down here, and you have to go to get it. And receiving all the answers that I ever had about anything, and answers that you probably have about things as well. Know that I know that you have about things. And so it was a process of just receiving that and integrating it into my body. And what am I doing with this? And I received, like, this is it. This is really it. And so I saw, I'm not going to get too deep or give too much information on here, but I saw some truths about myself, my work, not my soul mission, but my assignment that I received when I came here. And yeah, this is where we are now. What I know is that many of you have also felt something, whether you could name it or not. You felt something, you've seen something, something's different after this time, especially if you were consciously doing that. And so what happened is I knew that the 21st, the solstice, was it. The solstice was literally shifting things, a switch, like literally a switch was happening. Now, here's the thing. This is something that has to resonate with you. If it doesn't resonate with you, it's not going to make sense. Okay? And that's okay. That's okay. I always say go where the information is resonating with you. But the things that I'm going to share you're going to feel like this makes sense. I don't have to know the 100% why, but it does. And so I spoke about this, I don't know, maybe early this year or last year. I spoke about this idea of there being a new earth or a new world. And when I mentioned it, I realized that a lot of people really didn't have an understanding of that. And so then I went into a teaching of dimensions, understanding what dimensions are. We did a lot of metaphysics last fall, teachings with that, for you to really understand this. because this is something that is very true. There is an earth or reality that is ending, and there is a new one that is going to be built. Okay, that exists. It exists, y'all. And some of you teeter totter in and out of it. What do I mean? Some of you, sometimes you wake up and you just feel like, oh, I just feel so good and just alive. And I just want to skip. And what is this feeling? Right. And then sometimes you feel like the opposite. And so you have stepped into that place, but it happens in a moment. 144 in the chat. It happens in a moment. It happens like that. So you can step in and out. And what's happening is, and I wasn't going to talk about this. This is what happens when I go live. What happens is that your body is recalibrating. Not just that, but your spirit is trying to connect to that energy. Because here's what's not going to happen. It's not going to be one day God comes from the sky and people are raptured into somewhere else. Your physical body couldn't take it. Your spiritual body couldn't take it. There's a process. This is a process. This is a process. This is why it's called the spiritual path, this journey. Okay. And so some of you have been in and out of it. And you may feel like, what, am I bipolar? Yesterday I was just feeling so good. And today it's like the opposite. Your mind is in heavy resonance with this third dimension, because this is where it has been constructed. Do you understand? This is where it grew up. This is where it learned how to be. But your soul is saying, this is not it. And there's a fight. Matter of fact, one of the videos that was taken down was a video that I said, I think it was talking about the war, the fight, the physical body. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Y'all remember that one? That one was removed. I don't know why. But well, I do know why. But this is what is happening. And you have a choice that you make every day, every moment, every day, of where you're going to be. For real. And wherever there is greater resonance is where you end up. So this is why I've constantly said, don't be distracted. I did a message on spiritual privy, and I said, this is what spiritual privy is. You receive the information in advance, so you're not shocked. None of y'all should be shocked about any pending war, right? We talked about this in 2022, right? I said who the different sides were. I said, this is happening. It's spilling over, right? Nobody should be shocked by that. Nobody should be shocked by the presidency or anything that's happening, because this was spoken, right? There were some of you who I said, listen, get your papers together, get your passports, right? And there are many times where I can't say the fullness of it. I can only say part, because Spirit's like, you can't tell them everything. Just give them the part, just give them the seed. And it's up to them whether or not they want to run with it or not, right? And so now all this stuff is happening. I said, be mindful of these people that you're worshiping, these celebrities. The video 2021, it was called Deceptors are going to be exposed. And all these people that we laud, and this person is great and amazing, and a spiritual person, everyone gets exposed. Everyone gets exposed. Everyone, not just the bad people, everyone. Spiritual beings gets exposed. The ones who are false get exposed for who you truly are. Because at the end of the day, it's you and you. It's you and you. You lay your head on your pillow. There's but so much pretending that can happen. And there was a shaking that happened where the divine mothers were like, that's it. This is a hot mess. All the truth is going to be revealed. And those who had eyes to hear and see started to see it. The illusion started falling apart. There's nowhere to hide any longer. Okay? So that is not what I came on here to speak about, but that needed to be said. And so what happens on at this time is that I'm being told timelines. I'm giving all this information, trying to contain it. I have pages and pages and pages of just information of what I received very powerful. And one of the things that I received was a shock to me. But if you know me, if you know of me, I'm always going to be spirit led. There, there is only truth that I'm a spiritual being and that I'm here to do a work. That's always been my truth. Now I know how specific it is. I thought I did. This is why I said, continue to be on your path, find your soul mission, and be okay if it pivots because it's meant to. Some of you are not meant to get the fullness of what you're meant to do because your brains would explode. You wouldn't walk the path. And there are paths. There are paths, especially for some of you, which I'll get into later. Okay. There are challenging paths that you have to walk because of the work that you have to do. And it's not going to happen overnight. So, one of the major realizations, or not even realizations, that came to me was the misalignment with me, with who I am, with my assignment that I was given, and university. And this is something that was, for the past couple of years, I felt like an uneasiness in it, but I didn't fully understand. Okay. I didn't fully understand. And there was some imbalance. There was some imbalance. And again, I felt it in my body, but I didn't have the words. And that's okay because I wasn't supposed to know then. Okay. And so I want to make sure that I'm clear on this because I don't want some of you being like, oh my gosh. So let me backtrack and I'll tell the story that I shared before. 30 years ago, when I was a teenager, I was super nerdy geeky, y'all. And I went into Mexico to do research, to do research. And I shared this story on that video. When I saw that home that was presented on the street, um, beautiful flowers on the wall. And I thought, this is a nice house until we walked through the front gate. And I realized, oh, we're still outside. And we crossed the threshold into the courtyard, right? And so that image imprinted on me because even in the courtyard, we weren't still in the house. There was another area where all the rooms were. Okay. And that impressed on me so deeply that let's say 8 years later, I remember sitting with someone in a car, and I had just graduated college, and I was so frustrated because so many of my friends graduated. They majored in biology, they majored in this, and they were doing jobs that had nothing to do with their majors. And I said, I want to have a school. And I saw this vision of this place with all these people. And I said, I'm going to have this school where people are learning to do what they're here to do, right? Like I was doing what I love to do. I was researching under the masters and I was traveling, and I wanted everyone to feel that. And I said, I'm going to have this school. And I tucked it in my back pocket. And so I went on my journey of getting a lot of education, y'all, a lot of education, teaching every grade from kindergarten, working as a specialist in middle schools, all the way up to community college to top universities. I taught every level because that was my path. That was my work until I said, so that vision came again with this school. So in 2016 actually, I said, I'm going to build a school. What is my field? I'm going to build a school. I don't know. I didn't know what to build it on. So I said, it's going to be on the sciences. We're going to do linguistics, right? 2019, Spirit said, nope, that's not it. And I stopped everything, shut everything down. And I said, well, what is it? It wasn't to the end of 2019 where I started hearing the spirit doula. I started doing consultations. People said, well, can I speak to you? Can I do consultations? And Spirit said, go ahead and do them. And then people said, I want to learn. I want to learn what you're teaching, not just on your YouTube videos. And that started the Spirit Doula Academy. And I said, oh, this is the school. And so the following year, Spiritual Ascension University was born. Okay. So, and Spiritual Ascension University has been in existence for 5 amazing years, 5 amazing years, with thousands of students, thousands, literally thousands of students have done deep work, healing, learning, expansion through classes, courses, workshops, certifications, all of that. And that mission, that work was successful. It is successful. However, the university came through, and that's not it. University is masculine energy. It is external. It is expression. And the imbalance came in that I was bringing the feminine to it. Now, I did this at the university level with my students. I taught them their subjects. But after class, my students would line up to speak to me, not about class, not about homework, but about their life. And I would just spend, instead of that, I would just say, let the first 20 minutes of class, let's talk. Let's ask questions. And I realized I was bringing that feminine energy into it. Listen. Because if I don't teach nothing else, I teach balance. Masculine plus feminine equals power. Y'all know that. Knowing plus understanding equals power. And so university is a 3D construct. It is very masculine, and it doesn't contain feminine. Me as a physical being was bringing that feminine, but I couldn't balance it. It's me. It's me bringing the feminine aspect to something that is growing huge. Thousands of students, y'all. And I'm the feminine balance that was being brought to Spiritual Ascension University, and it was out of alignment. It was out of alignment. And what I was told is that the structure is third dimensional. It is wrong. It is not what is needed. One of the things that I experienced in traveling to outside of this dimensional reality, these dimensions to higher dimensions, is I saw structures, even my place of origin, where I learned. And I saw these structures, and I was shown the original structures here on this planet. And they were not universities. They were sacred spaces, sacred containers where you would learn, but the learning wasn't all here. There was an embodying that happened. There was an activation that happened. Do you understand? That can only happen with the feminine aspect. And what I was doing is I would teach a lesson, give you that masculine, and then I would sit for hours answering questions so that you would get it. But that's not the right method. That was imbalanced spiritually. Okay. And so what Spirit said is that this has to become a sacred space of balance where spiritual beings are learning, but in a different way. Listen. I share this time and time again. There's so much knowledge out there. But if that knowledge is not reaching your true soul, your true self, if it's not activating something within you, then it's trash. There's certain things that you just don't need to know. You want to learn because you're curious about it, but what is it doing for your soul? How is it transforming your life? Is this information going to activate something in your DNA? Or is it going to shut something down? And this third dimensional model was helping to activate, but again, there was a lot of input output from me. Okay. And so everything the structure had to start again. That's it. That's all. This is the year. What did I say? Year of transformation. The old has to go. The old is going to be exposed. What is no longer in alignment is going to be exposed because it cannot go into the new. And this is what was presented over those 14 days. And even after that, every day I get something else about Spiritual Ascension University. Now, um, I will make the official announcement now. Spiritual Ascension University, as it was, is closed. We are sending it, sealing it with love and gratitude. But that structure no longer works for where spiritual beings need to go. When I really sat with it, I realized that that was never my mission to build a university. I just saw this space with people, literally people gathered around and learning and connecting. And now I know the word being in alignment and being in this empowered space. My mind perceives it as university because that's the trajectory I was on as an educator, right? We're taught that the highest level of education is a university level. Mm, if that's the case, there are so many people that have doctorates, multiple doctorates, that have no understanding of who they are spiritually. And that was one of the messages that I received pursuing my doctorate when I only had a year left. I had to take a seminar and a class, and Spirit said, drop out. 4.2 GPA. I had all my stacks of research. My project that I had to present was already done. Spirit said, you don't need this. Disappointed my whole family. It was sad, disappointed myself. There was so much time and energy spent into that. But now I understand it was wonderful, and I would have had a nice paper, and I would have had a nice picture, and you could have called me Dr. Such and Such. But there was a limit on what I could have done with that versus what I can do now. Listen, so I'm never afraid when Spirit says turn, pivot, stop, transform. Yes, let's go. Let's do this. Let's do this. What I did realize is that Spiritual Ascension University was part of the path. It was part of the training, y'all. Let me give you the number. 10,000 students, almost 10,335 people have taken classes. 10,335 people. Class, a workshop, watched the video, attended a Zoom. And my work was to hold a structure. Spirit said, can she hold a structure of this magnitude? And I did that. That's part of the work. It didn't mean that that was the end all. If you would have asked me a year, 2 years ago, I would have said, oh yeah, Spiritual Ascension University is going to be the place where you're going to go and da-da-da. I would have said all of that. This is a lesson. Spirit will not always give you the final vision, because sometimes it's something great that you have to build and go through first. Me, the girl from the Bronx with the accent that has a speech impediment, coming on here and speaking to all of you and teaching 10,000 people. I wouldn't have done that before if I was told 10, 20 years ago. Yeah, I can teach at universities in a lecture hall, a classroom with 25 students. Yeah, no problem. But not like this. But I had to go through that. You understand? I had to get through that. I had to see, oh, you can do this. So that the next step, the next space, you know that you can hold it and that I'm entrusted to hold it. I heard 10,000 people, 10,000 different personalities. Lord, oh my gosh. But that was the path. That was part of the training. One of the things that was also shared with me is that university is based in curriculum. And I know I frustrated some people. Oh my gosh. Curriculum, the root understanding of curriculum is running, literally running a path, running a course, literally running a course. And universities run curriculums in a circular motion. Every semester, you're going to have this class. Every semester is going to be this. Everything is the same. Okay. The only thing that changes are the students and the teachers, or sometimes the books. But the course is run in a circular fashion. And I don't operate in a circular fashion. And for that reason, I would always say, if you want to attend this course, attend it, because I don't know for sure if it's going to be here next year, because I know me. I know me. And one thing I know is that if I'm told to change or elevate, I'll do that. And so universities run in a circular manner, curriculum, circle, running a journey, running a path, literally running. Okay. And so I know that I operate in spiral. I always talk about expansion, right? Do the work. I know it's hard. Cry through it. Just, you can do it. What happens? You're going to come out stronger, better, more expanded. That's the spiral. It spirals out. And that is the energy. That is the structure of education, of learning. That is the way to activate, by being in spirals, not circle. And so when I fully understood that, I said, it makes sense. And so again, because of that, some of you saw programs come and go. I know some people, it was unsettling because you thought, it should be consistent. Spiritual beings are meant to continuously expand. And so this work must now evolve, because I have evolved and so many of you have evolved. And I've sensed it for a while. I've sensed it for a while that so many of you are like, it's something I'm trying to get to, but it's right there, but I can't. You're reading all the books, you're doing all these things, and it's still like, but something you're trying to reach to. And that thing is within you. That thing really is within you. It's encoded within you. It's locked within you, and it needs to be activated. It needs to be unlocked. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not doing it wrong. I hear all the time, am I doing it wrong? If you're doing it with full intention, you're doing it right. Now, if you're doing it half-ass, that's between you and you. Okay? If you do your work without abundance, you're going to get the same exact thing. Okay? So let's talk about the new word. So instead of university, the word is temple. And when I heard the word temple, I said, people are going to go to, is it religious? It's not religious at all. Let's talk about the root word of temple, which there is some controversy over in the linguistics world. So we know temple is a building, a sacred building, and really it is a sacred space. So before it was a building, it's a sacred space. Okay, so the temple could be your tree in your backyard where you go to meditate. Okay, your body is a temple, sacred space. We also have temples here. We're really here. It's not really these, it's really the right side. Okay. Temple also points to time. Time. When you really dig to the etymology of it, you get time. So you have time, you have sacred body, but you also have the word stretch. The word stretch. So what we're speaking of is a sacred container where time stretches. Listen. Because again, many of you experience this. How many of you have ever nodded off and you had a whole entire series, a whole entire dream? Like It seemed like it was days long, but you nodded off for 10 seconds or even at the stoplight. Let me know in the chat. Have you ever experienced that? Have you ever experienced that? Or have you ever experienced you driving and you're like, how did I get here where I am? Yes. Well, the reason why is because you were moving through time. Spiritual beings have I was going to say another word, but authority to move through time. You just don't understand that that's what it is. And so this space allows us to stretch time, to move through time, because I will teach on this. What we know about manifestation is wrong, and it really is a time travel thing. And this is why some people can manifest like this, and this is why some people I'm trying to do it, and it's not working. But these are skills that you learn. These are things that you learn. And what happens is that it has to be taught in a way that is activated within you. Okay? Let me continue. Let me know in the chat if y'all are following me. How y'all feeling? I see now why I couldn't do this pre-recorded, why I had to come on here, because there's some lessons within this. So the temple is not a school any longer. It really is a sacred structure. It may resemble school. It may resemble that because that's the closest thing we have in our minds. But it really is a sacred structure. This is where teachings are learned, not just learned, but they're activated. When you're taught, you are meant to be activated. Okay? We're speaking on frequencies. I did many of you saw it already. I posted on the solstice recording, a guided meditation, and it was me talking with some sounds. Some of you will say, "Oh, that's wonderful sounds and beautiful music." No, this was downloaded, transmitted. These are the frequencies because it has to activate this within their DNA. I could only record it when I was led to record it. This is what I'm speaking on. These are the activations that I'm talking about. Waking up those codes that are within you. The temple is a living body. It is narrow, it's not wide. It is deep, it's not broad. What does that mean? It's not for everyone. It's not meant to, listen, oh my gosh. Many of us have heard the phrases, many are called, but the chosen are few, or we've heard numbers, 144,000. We've heard different things, religion and spirituality. We've heard numbers, right? The numbers are not what you think. The numbers are really small because it doesn't take a lot of people to do what needs to be done in this new reality, in this new space. So it's not for everyone, and that's okay. This is a return to how we were originally taught, through sacred transmission, through silence, through presence. Some of you want to go beyond, this is my race, this is my culture, this is who am I? Where am I from? What am I really here to do? How do I get to that? Forget all the fluff, forget all the other stuff. Every ancient civilization had this space where it wasn't the whole community. It was those who had special giftings, talents, etc. Not talents, but special giftings, right? That now society drugs them or puts labels on them. But then they were gifted and they would go into these temples to be activated. Y'all seen the movies? Y'all seen the movies, right? All these old movies where these people are not in this country. Some of the movies in this country, what they have done with children is atrocious. But we're talking about where people went to temples or learning spaces, and there's a master or masters, and they would work with them to pull what was inside out. Y'all remember Bruce Leroy? What's the name of that movie? The Last Dragon. It was a movie that came out in the 80s. Bruce Leroy was regular guy living in Harlem, New York. He was a little strange. Everybody thought he was weird, right? But he had to go to a space to get that light pulled up out of him, that glow. It's the same thing with y'all. In a city, in New York City, back in the 80s, where there were hundreds of thousands of people in Harlem, that one person, not one person. So, what am I here to do now? What am I here to do now? I'm not here to teach information. I have given so much information. I taught you the biology of a blood cell. I taught you noble gases. I taught you about melanin. I taught you number synchronicities. Like I taught you how to decode dreams. I taught. What didn't I teach? There were hours and hours of teaching. I taught it. And it was good teaching. Okay. But I'm no longer here to teach information. I'm here to activate. I'm here to activate. And activation means unlocking the codes and remembrance that is already within you. One thing I used to say is that my job is not, I'm not giving you anything new. I want you to remember what is already within you. That's the work. It's already in you. My job is to activate that. That's something I've been saying when I was teaching. Now I'm consciously doing that. And so there are two groups of people that I'm specifically called to work with. Those are those who are being called into activation. Those are those who are meant to walk through the threshold, who are like, when you heard that portal, April 20th to the 29th, you were like, I'm ready to go through that portal. I'm ready to do this work. Like, what do I have to do? My job is to activate you. Will I teach you stuff? Yes, but there's a different way in which this information will be taught. And there's a second group. And the second group, these are the builders, sacred architects, designers, guardians of new systems. We are really going into a new reality. This old one is y'all. We already went over that, right? Falling apart. I told you stop connecting with people that talk about this old place that's falling apart. You don't have no business there. You don't have to believe me. You know it. Your soul knows it, that there's a new space, a new reality that you can exist in. And the two won't know the difference. Like you can exist in the same space. We see it all the time. But there's a group of you who are meant to build something, systems, brand new systems. It's a huge undertaking. It's not something that is easy. And I'm meant to walk alongside you to remind you, like, you can do it and you are going to do it. And how can I support you in doing that? Those are the two groups. And the builders will also be activated as well. Not everyone is a builder. You're not meant to be. Some of you are just here to, not just here, some of you are here to heal. And your healing is meant to activate something within someone else. Okay? But some of you are here, especially those who have certain numerology numbers. If you've ever had a consultation, a reading with me, and I said to you, I never want to, in my consultations, I'm like, I'm going to be truthful. You have a lot of work to do, but you'll have the help to do it. There's something that you got to build, something you got to create. It hasn't been done before. The blueprint is within you and you are going to do it. That's what I'm speaking about. So don't look at something else like, well, that person's doing it. You're supposed to do it in a new reality. So again, some of you will walk both paths, but all of you will be activated. And so in my work, I only offer a few offerings. Um, some of you know some of you are aware of it because I sent an email and you actually opened it and read it. Some of you are active in classes, and I shared it with you all. 7 certification, SAU collective, and now the threshold. And so the first space is the threshold. And these are only for people that are willing to walk through the door. This is the first step. This is the first step. Since December, I've been sharing the alignment letter every week. And I don't know what people think the process is, but let me explain the process. This is me getting up early, rising, doing my own meditation, and then doing another meditation. What is the message for the collective? What is the message for the soul family? Getting that message and then infusing it throughout an entire letter. Me pulling what's happening astrologically and making it make sense for you. So you're not trying to figure out stuff on your own and then saying, this is how you do this. This is how it makes sense. These are the things you can work on this week so that you stay in alignment. Here are some practices. Here are some rituals that you can do. It's a new moon. This is what you do. This is what it's about. It's not. This is conjuncting this. You may feel like this on Tuesday, but this is what I want you to do. And since January, I have been doing that. And it was when I first did, I said, this is a gift to the soul family. It was a free offering. That is no longer the case. One of the reasons why is because many of your email providers are blocking it. I share with my students, if you didn't know, you may think that your emails are private. They're not. They're not. And if something comes through that, just like algorithms, just like YouTube, just like these places, it will block it. So emails were getting blocked, or people had emails and they just weren't reading it. It wasn't valued. And that's okay. So now it is in a sacred container for those who want to actually engage with this information and deeper. So the threshold is the first place. The alignment letter is in there. I'll be releasing more guided meditations. One I'll be releasing in the next 2 days. And I'll be releasing one every single month for those who are in the next level. There will also be videos that were taken down on YouTube that I'm going to put there for you to watch and learn. And other offerings. This past weekend was the solstice. And so I shared a guided ritual that you could have done for the solstice, because that's what our ancestors did. Not even ancestors. When I went to visit my family's land, my father said the craziest thing. He said every year in the middle of the summer, the women would go to the water rocks, something like that. And I said, the water rocks? He said, yeah, they call it the rocks, that the water that comes from the rocks, something like that. He was brushing it off. And I was like, a waterfall? Like this? Oh, I didn't know there was a waterfall here. When I was in Ecuador, same thing. The summer solstice was the biggest day of the year. It's a major portal. And so I shared, here's what you can do. And so many people did that work. So that's what's in there. On top of that, there's a community. You can chat, you can share, you can do whatever. There's no algorithms. It is a sacred space. So that's the first space. And then the second space is what you knew as the SAU collective, but it's now just the collective. And this is where I do monthly teachings, monthly Q&As. You can no longer send me emails asking me questions. You can no longer DM me asking me questions, because my energy was being constantly siphoned, okay? Constantly siphoned. So I'm preserving my energy literally for these spaces, and these spaces are powerful, life-changing, okay? This is what this sacred work is. This is what this next level is. I know some people may not like it. Oh, that's not fair. That's not right. But let me say this. It's not right that you DMing me and asking me what's the best mouthwash to use. That is not the best way for me to use my gifts. Do you understand? And so boundaries have to be placed. And guess what happens? When there weren't boundaries and then you place boundaries, it breeds resentment. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm 100% okay with that now. I wasn't before. I felt bad. That mama in me wanted to make sure everyone was taken care of. And I went above and beyond, above and beyond, above and beyond, stuff that I won't even mention. Taking care of people. You hear me? Taking care of households. But what happens is that when boundaries are set, resentment shows up. And I'm no longer willing to do that. The truth is that sacred exchange, there has to be sacred exchange. When sacred energy is being shared, there has to be exchange. And that has always been the case. Let's continue. So, what does this mean for you? What am I being called to release? That's a question you should ask yourself. What am I being called to release? If you're like, well, I'm good, my chakras are balanced, I'm healed, I'm just here to be nosy, whatever the case is, then cool. But if you like, there's some things that need to be released, and we're not saying the word healing anymore. There's a lot of these words that we use have been so watered down and so manipulated. And so healing, we think we are healing when we're not. And we are still holding on to energies that have not left us because we don't know how to properly do it. So you have to know that there's something in you that you need to release or to clear. Okay. Ask yourself, am I still walking in circles? Yes. Because you've been conditioned to every day, every day. You work a job, what time you have to be there, what time you get off. That is a circle. That is a circle. You have a set calendar, a set this month I'm gonna take a vacation. It's a circle. Y'all, we're meant to move in spirals and it changes every year. We're not meant to listen. We're not meant to sleep 8 to 10 hours a night. That is within a construct of time. Spiritual beings can sleep for 2 hours, and it is the same thing as sleeping for 10 hours. There are some days where we need to be up at night and sleep during the day. But when we're in circles, we can't do that. And so we can't fully operate. And you start fully operating when you become activated. Let's continue because I can go. And so the temple, the space, the sacred space is organized into multiple levels. There's the front door, the threshold, and then there's that space called the courtyard, where you're learning, where you're growing, where you're practicing, where you're experiencing, where you're connecting with others. We had a student who kept seeing a number and she posted in the chat and somebody broke it down to her. This is what this number means. It was like a random number, like 916. Shout out to, I forgot who it was, Melissa or Christiane, that was like, let me tell you what 916 means. Where you can get support, the sacred space. And then there's the inner chambers, the inner parts where you are trained. And these are our various certifications. And then we have another level. And that's more private. That's where you work with me. That's only for those who are called. And that's for another time. That's not for this conversation at all. Okay. This is the new structure. On June 21st, there was a switch that happened. And many of you feel it. I feel it. It is freaking amazing. And it really is you existing more in a higher dimensional space than in this third dimensional space. And I know some of you are like, I don't understand dimensions. Then come and learn. Ask. I'll teach you. It's not that complex. There are some people that their job is to seed confusion. So they teach things in a way that makes it confusing. And this information is so elemental. It really, children understand it. And it can be taught to children. So this is a new era. We're in a new space. I'm so excited about it. Like every day, I'm so excited about it. If you go to the website, spiritualau.com, it looks totally different. We honor Spiritual Ascension University, all of the classes, SDA 1, 2, 3, 4, Inner Circle 1, 2, 3, 4, Alchemy Circle, Healer Circle, 7 certification. Did I miss anyone? Oh my gosh. What a time. What a time. What an experience we had. And now Spirit is saying it's time to spiral up. Not level up, spiral up. What's next? What's next? So, with that said, a couple of things. If you used to receive emails from me, you will no longer be receiving emails unless you register on the new website. Everything that we're offering is meant, you have to be magnetized to it. Let me just say that. The intentions that are being sent out is there has to be resonance. Okay? Find what you resonate with it and you stick to that until it's time for you to resonate with something else. And get out of your heads. Some of you are in your heads. Some of you are letting your human ego self take over. And it's okay, but you need to recognize it. Don't talk yourself out of where you should be. I see it. I see it and I hear it so many times. And look at everything with your eye. Look at everything with that discerning eye. If it doesn't feel right, if something's off, then ask. If the person doesn't answer, then trust that feeling. But if you ask, they give you an answer, that should settle something within you. So this is what this is. This is what this is. This is those who had questions, got the email and didn't fully understand or saw the message and was like, what's happening? Oh my gosh, something bad happened. It's all goodness, y'all. And there's but so much that I can say on here. So will I be on YouTube teaching? Not like before. If you look on YouTube now, there were over, I think, 400 videos. There are like 45 now. A lot were taken down and a lot I removed because they're no longer in alignment. Okay. Do not ask me for replays. A lot of times you'll have the opportunity to study something and you'll miss that window. And it's nothing like missing a window and saying, oh, well, I regret that, or that's not right. That's not fair. Take that action when it's available. Do not hesitate. How many times do I say that? Do not hesitate. There are some things I hesitated on and I missed the opportunity that I could have had because I hesitated and said, well, it'll come again, until it didn't. Don't hesitate. Spiritual Ascension University Instagram page is down. I'm not sure if I'm going to bring it up or memorialize it. I think you can memorialize pages, but that is an old system. It's a beautiful system, but it's an old system. We're in a new space now. Okay. So with that said, I am so proud of all of you who have stayed consistent in your work. I know Oh, I know how challenging it has been. I'm talking about those of you who have pushed through and not had the excuse of, I'll get back to it. I'll get back to it. I just don't feel like doing the spiritual stuff right now. There's some of you that know there is nothing else. This is it. There's no other choice. This is the path that I'm on. And you put that first. And I'm so proud of you. And I'm so honored to be on this journey with you. Whatever the vision that you were given, that's it. That's it. It took me 30 years from when I was a teenager to now. And it all came together. 30 years. I think, yeah, 30 years to the month, because I went to Mexico in June 30 years ago. 30 years ago. 30 years to the month. And I didn't have the teacher. I didn't have the guidance. I didn't have social media. I had the library, books, microfiche. You want to learn something, you travel to the university, you talk to the professor. That's what I had. You have so much access to so many things that you can use, and access to people like me that are willing to really teach you, really do the work with you, really walk with you. You may not like it all the time. I'm not going to be your best friend all the time. I may say something that may hurt your feelings. You may be triggered. That's okay. What do I say? Call me Professor Trigger. Because if you're triggered, there's something in you that needs to be healed. Let's face it. If you're willing to, or you can be triggered and be like, I don't like Professor Melanie, forget her, blah, 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 and talk about me. Or you can face it and let's do the work. All right. So with that said, love you so family. Love you so family. Everyone that is already in the SAU collective, um, keep going. It's going to get better. I have some surprises, some things for you. Those of you who are in the threshold, welcome, welcome, welcome. I promise this is not a space that you've ever experienced. People always say this is not what I thought it would be, right? Because it hasn't existed before. This is something that was put in me, the seed 30 years ago, that is now being birthed. And so it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. So with that said, have a wonderful night, everyone. It was so good seeing you all, and I will see you very soon in the spiral. Peace, everyone. Good night.